Hi everyone, my name is Natalie. Today I am sitting down to share with you our Invisible Cities announcement for August. So August is a special month in the bookish world, on BookTube and elsewhere, because it is Women in Translation Month as well. So I will share with you the two countries we have selected for August, as well as my Women in Translation Month TBR, because both of these countries have several fantastic sounding women writers in translation. So the two countries we'll be focusing on in August for Invisible Cities is India and Brazil. I'm really excited for both of these countries. I have several books that I am looking at potentially reading, as well as movies that I would like to check out, and food and all of the things, and especially because August sort of fits in with the vacation time as well. I'm hoping to really go all out with this with August. So let's get into the books that I am looking at. First, we have the authors and books for Brazil. We have We All Loved Cowboys by Carol Ben-Simon, and this was translated by Beth Fowler. This is a Transit Books publication, and I'm really interested in this publisher as well. But it said something about a queer novel, which was what intrigued me. It says, after a falling out, Cora and Julia reunite for a long-planned road trip through Brazil. As they drive from town to town, the complications of their friendship resurface. By the end of the trip, they must decide what the future holds in a queer coming-of-age debut novel that has been celebrated in Brazil. This sounds so good, and definitely like something that I could really love. So this is one that I will probably be ordering to be able to read. The next one I have is Antonio by Beatrice Brasher, and this had been translated by Adam Morris. I'd had my eye on this one because it was published by New Directions, which is one of my personal favorite publishers. They do such fantastic design in particular for their books, and always have really interesting titles too. This has also been published by Pushkin Press. It says, Benjamin, a young man on the cusp of fatherhood, discovers a disturbing family secret. Before his father was born, his paternal grandfather had a child with Benjamin's mother. With both men dead, Benjamin turns to three other confidants to piece together his family history. So the whole sort of family history and secrets and intrigues within a very close group of individuals is something that really drew me to this one. And sounds like this author has interesting writing aside from this book, but this was definitely the one that intrigued me the most. And then we have The Invisible Life of Iridus Gusmao, which has apparently become a movie adaptation as well. This is by Martha Batalla and translated by Eric Becker. This seems to be kind of a romp of a book. So it says, a wickedly funny tale of two rebellious sisters in 1940s Rio de Janeiro, which is really all you need to know about this book, I think. As I said, a romp of a book with sisterhood and a historical fiction book as well. The Invisible Life of Iridus Gusmao is a darkly comic debut bursting with vibrant Brazilian spirit and unforgettable characters, a jubilant novel about the emancipation of women. So this might be one that I read and then watch the movie adaptation if I can get hold of it. I actually have this book as an ebook that I bought several years ago, so this will be a fantastic excuse to finally get around to it. And it has a really vibrant cover as well. And then lastly for Brazil, an author that a lot of people probably think of when they think of Brazilian women writers is Clarice Lispector. I have never actually read any of her books, so if you have read one or more of her books and have any recommendations of where to start, definitely I would be very, very grateful for any tips on that, because I feel like for a long time I've wanted to try her writing out, and I just feel a little bit intimidated, not really knowing where to start and what is a good entryway into her bibliography. So very grateful for any tips on that, but that is definitely an author I would love to get to and this seems as good an excuse as ever. Then we have India. So of course there's a lot of Indian writers that are not in translation, but I have specifically looked for women in translation from India. So the first one we have is Tomb of Sand by Gitanjali Sri, and this was translated by Daisy Rockwell. Of course this is a very popular book at the moment because it won the Booker International this year, and I've been trying to get my hands on this one for several weeks or even months, and I have not been able to do so yet, so this will be one that I will try to get, if I can, closer to the date, or else just leave it for some other time to read. But I would really love to get this one, and because it sounds like a fantastic book, it is sort of a character study of an elderly woman, and I think she is looking back on her life, and it seems like this woman is a really, not feisty, but a very colorful character. It says, in northern India, an 80-year-old woman slips into a deep depression at the death of her husband, then resurfaces to gain a new lease on life. Her determination to fly in the face of convention, including striking up a friendship with a hijra person, confuses her bohemian daughter, who is used to thinking of herself as the modern of the two. Gitanjali Sri's playful tone and exuberant wordplay results in a book that is engaging, funny, and utterly original, at the same time as being an urgent and timely protest against the destructive impact of borders and boundaries, whether between religion, countries, or genders. Another book I am really interested in is called A Kitchen in the Corner of the House by, and this was translated by Lakshmi Holmström. This is one of Archipelago Books publications, which is another publisher that I'm really interested in trying their stuff out. And this says, A Kitchen in the Corner of the House collects 25 gem-like stories on motherhood, sexuality, and the body from the innovative and perceptive Tamil writer Mbai. With each story, her expansive voice confronts the constructions of gender in Tamil literature. Piecing together letters, journal entries, and notes, Mbai weaves them themes of both self-liberation and confinement into her writing. So it sounds like it's sort of a play with a format as well, which is always something I'm really interested in. The last one I have is called Fence by Ilab Arab Mehta and translated by Rita Kontari. Let's see. In Fence, she tells the tale of Fatima, a young Muslim woman growing up in rural Gujarat. Even though Fatima lives in abject poverty, she dreams of a better life, having a career, her own home, and economic independence, and is hopeful that education will help her achieve her goals. Fence is the story of one woman's struggle to find a home for herself in a world torn apart by communal violence and identity politics. Mehta's book shines a light on the relationship between Muslims and Hindus in the state of Gujarat. This sounds very interesting, both with sort of gender politics and identity and agency, as well as the religion aspect of it. Those are all of the books that I am potentially looking at reading for Women in Translation Month, as well as the 2 countries we have selected for August for Invisible Cities. I would love, as I said, any tips with Clarice Lispector where to start. If you read any of her books that you particularly enjoyed, I would love to know about that. If you have any thoughts on what you could read for India or Brazil for Invisible Cities in August, or if you have any thoughts on what you would like to read for Women in Translation Month, I would be very interested to hear about that as well. I hope you are all having a fantastic day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.